I always get the good gigs, eh? Follow that. Croeso Cymru, all right? That's the only bit of the road sign I could read. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Ernie Warrender. Can you all hear me with this thing, yeah? Yeah, bad luck. Business, okay? I shall talk about business briefly because that's my brief. There's been some statistics published this year. Good statistics. Forbes.com, who are the biggest business pundits in the world, at the beginning of the year reluctantly published a series of statistics that said the United Kingdom has overtaken the United States of America as the #1 place in the world to do business. Yeah. Damn Brexit. This week, we recently saw the RPI figures, the lowest ever for years. Damn Brexit. Unemployment in this country is at an all-time low. Youth unemployment as well, something that our EU neighbours are bitterly jealous of. Damn Brexit. Now, I am a bit like the turkey, actually, who voted for Christmas, because I'm a small businessman, left school with 1 O-level, thick as 2 short planks, was in a squat 30 years ago. I now apparently employ about 90-odd people. And we deal extensively within the EU. Yeah. So, believe it or not, and don't tell anyone, I did vote to leave. I phoned up our Italian company called Olivetti. I don't know who in the room remembers Olivetti. Yeah, Telecom Italia. My little company is their largest European dealer in this particular market sector. And I phoned up the Italians 3 years ago after the referendum. I said, "Hi guys." Whoops. I said, "Look, what's going to happen?" And they said, "Hey, 25 years we've done business. 25 years, we're business friends. No tin pot politicians are going to stop that." I said, "Oh, great. I'll ring Guy Verhofstadt and tell him." Or is it Guy Verhofstadt? No, Guy Verhofstadt, sorry. And in fact, I have sent Guy an invitation to come over here on November the 5th, but he hasn't. He hasn't replied yet, funnily enough. But of course, what Olivetti know is that I could buy their product elsewhere. I could buy it from China. I could buy it from America, Korea, Japan. And of course, they know that I know that they know that. Oh yes, that was a song, wasn't it? It reminds me of Tim Martin of Wetherspoons, a fabulous advocate. Yeah. Now I know what sort of an audience you are. Who turned round and he said, "I was very worried we wouldn't be able to get French wine or Spanish wine, but do you know what? They make some fairly good stuff in New Zealand and Australia and Chile. And do you know what? They actually quite like us." Funny that, isn't it? Courvoisier, he said, "Oh, I was worried about that. But I can get this brandy from America and my clients can actually pronounce the name." So I went on, and again, going back to me getting all the good gigs, I get put on the BBC politics show recently during the EU elections because I was honoured to be your #1 MEP candidate in what was arguably the hottest seat in the country, the West Midlands. So I got dragged on the show, and they start banging on because unfortunately, and we've heard it touched upon, the whole campaign was coloured by 3 words: Tommy Robinson and rape. I didn't actually enjoy it too much, but hey, I can defend most things. And I sat on this show and I said, look, you talk about no deal. The negativity that Mr. Aitken touched upon from the BBC. No deal. Crashing out of the EU. Well, it's not actually, it's freedom to deal. It's cashing in, not crashing out. Trust me. Any of you or your children got one of them? It's an iPhone. If you look on the back, or like me, you can't see that, so I have to get the kids to do it, it will say in very small print, designed in California, that's America, assembled in China, that's China, neither of which have a deal with the EU. Funny that. So did you nick it? Did you smuggle it through customs in your pants? Of which, I'm proud to say, I have my Union Jack pants on. And in answer to Katie Hopkins, a 5-inch ruler, I wish. Now, some of the gigs I have been privileged to attend UKIP for. 2010, Bath University Students' Union. Brilliant. Lucky me, eh? I walk in a Nazi and I walked out smelling of roses. That surprised you, didn't it? 2015, Glastonbury Hustings. Yeah? I walked in a double Nazi and staggered out smelling of roses because there was some powerful smoking going on in there, I tell you. 2017, courtesy of Stuart Guppy, UKIP Cornwall. Stuart, are you out there? Yeah, I thought you blooming well were. Yeah. Stuart, who's one of the longest serving UKIP members, drags me down to a Lib Dem conference in Cornwall. Git. I walked in a Nazi and I walked out smelling of roses. And the climax, the finale, Birmingham University Student Union Hustings during the MEP elections. I went up there in a sou'wester, galoshes, umbrella. I even took my own minder, a great kipper, special forces guy. I said, Nige, come with me. And I stood up in front of that lot and I said to them, everyone had done their little introductions, you know, Labour and everybody. I said, look, my name's Ernie and I represent that vile, disgusting, horrible, nasty party, UKIP. And they all stopped playing with their phones and went, I said, that vile party that actually believe in the NHS free at point of need, not flogging it off via PFIs, initiated by Labour and continued with gusto by the Tories and the Lib Dems. And the Labour guy stood up, very rude, which was surprising for a Labour person. Oh, look, Katie Hopkins' 4-inch ruler. I won't be a minute. Bugger. And basically, and why do they call it Labour? Because none of them have ever done a day's labour, have they? I think that's what's called an oxymoron. Well, half of it anyway. And I stood up and I said, that ghastly... And he jumped up and he said, no, mate, old Labour, history, different party. I thought, that's good, I like that. Relaunch yourself. Interesting. I then said, that horrible, beastly party that believe in dignity for our veterans and our old age pensioners, respect for them. That vile party that actually believe in free student tuition fees, as I didn't have because I was too thick, but my generation had. Unlike this lot, who tell you they're going to do that, and then the minute you elect them, oh yeah, never mind, sorry, never mind, move on. And they looked at me, and I sat down, and we did a bit more, and I did a bit on climate change. UKIP, climate change. Brilliant. And the Green Lady couldn't say enough words about climate change in her 3 minutes. Oh, blimey, they poured out. And as Neil succinctly put it, Saint Greta Thunberg. Yeah, a young girl who has mental health issues, put up by I don't know who. But what does reassure me is the Lib Dems are going to make a tax on climate change. Greta Thunberg and her friends are going to jet round the world first class. And they are single-handedly going to stop 4 billion years of climate change. I'm inspired. I am inspired. If you look up, and I've actually, because I don't really write speeches, that's it. If you look up a thing called the Paleo-Ecocene, it was a period that preceded the Ice Age. Now, I personally, despite you looking at me thinking, how old is he? I wasn't there. It wasn't me. We didn't cause the Ice Age. We didn't cause the Paleo-Ecocene, where the Earth heated up to 35 degrees. Wasn't us. Not guilty. Now, the other thing about and I stood up and I said this, and I said another thing, all you lot out there, all you lot. I said, you could single-handedly slow down this. And these students looked at me. I said, try turning a light out now and again. Try closing a door. I said to them, power. This is power. Small business, you see. Small business designed a wonderful heating app. Yeah, anybody got that on their phone? And I said, my friends say to me, oh, we've turned the heating down to 20 degrees. 14 degrees. I got the only teenage children walking around in 3 pairs of knickers, woolly hats, jumpers, and they smiled. And I said, at the end of the day, go with the flow. The guy talking about 5G made a valid point. If you ever put a mobile phone next to a telly and watch what happens when the phone goes off, that can't be good for you. It can't be good for you. Okay, the buzzing, the interference. During the war, which I'm sure, well, I remember obviously very well. During the war, which was a war in which we fought against another totalitarian European state. Yeah, we fought for freedom of speech, and we fought to not be bossed around by Europeans. Didn't we do well? Marvellous. But they put things up called radar stations. And they noticed there were these cooked birds underneath the radar stations. Ultra-shortwave microwaves. Yeah. I can't believe these masts do us any good, you know, and there's enough state interference. And 5G, well, has anyone noticed 3G has suddenly become as bad as GPRS used to be? And 4G is about as good as 3G was, so I think they just keep relabeling it, that's all. I'm going to touch, and I'm going to finish with, actually, because a lot of speakers you very patiently listened to them. Richard Brain, our new leader, okay, it is a shame, and I was one of those ghastly NEC members. I was one of those horrible little people who decided that, it probably wasn't a great idea for Gerard and his associations not to vote, not to stand. I got walked up to by a full-blown Muslim in Birmingham University at those Hustings. He said, poke me in the chest. What do you think of Tommy Robinson? I said, I don't know, I've never met him. I said, personally, I think he's a bit of an arse, but do you deny his message? And he looked at me. I said, did you ever believe things like this happened in our country? I said, however, never mind that. Your question about Jaguar Land Rover was marvellous, and I've learnt to breathe through my bum so I can speak continuously for about an hour. Unlike Labour politicians who breathe through their mouth. Anyway, because I was a member of the NEC, I actually got vilified on Twitter, which I thought was quite jolly. I actually got called a knob and a tit on the same day, which goes to prove members of our party do not gender stereotype. I liked the majority of what Richard had to say. He's a good-looking guy. He comes across well on the media. He's got hair. I'm bitterly jealous about that. We need unity in this party. We need unity. We need to pull together as a team, because if one half of the rowing boat is rowing one way and the other half is rowing the other way, you will go round and round in circles till you disappear up your own jacksie. Don't do it. Yes, he has to moderate some of his views. We have a problem in this country with Islam. No one would deny that. But cast your minds back to places like Malaysia, where we tried force, it didn't work. We then tried hearts and minds. We have to reach out to the communities, find out why they are so grumpy. Who remembers the Ugandan Asians, yeah? Oh, blimey, when they arrived, it was going to be the end of civilization as we knew it. There were 25,000 of them. That's all, 25,000. And they pitched in. They pitched in big time. We are where we are. We are where we are. We must make the most of it. UKIP, as a political force, has achieved more in this country. We changed the direction of this country, and some might say in 3 or 4 years' time, the direction of a continent. Purely by our actions, purely by our threat. Bums on seats. That's what terrified them. Bums on seats. That's what we must work towards. Listen, you've been a great conference. You're very, very patient. And thank you ever so much for listening to me. Take care. Bye.